Hello, everyone. In today's interview, we have Susan Caeser with us. She is a director of artificial intelligence at ICF. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Eugenia, and hello, everybody. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Susan, you are a pioneering woman of human-centered AI. My question, my curiosity would be what inspired your journey into this intersection of technology and coaching?
Hmm. Well, that's an easy question in that I started my career as a creative. So I was doing graphic design. And in that space, you're very interested in what your customers need and expect of an organization. And so that led me to be very curious about what the needs of the users were. And as a consequence of that, I moved from the creative side into the operational side of businesses. And from that point onwards, I was helping organizations understand what their customers and their staff needed and then how we built the technology to service those needs. And that led to my human-centered career, really. And all the way through, I've done digital transformation for large global organizations, helping customers, members, and staff really get what they need from that organization to perform well in the moment.
What have you done? It relates so much to coaching, to really be
Well,
focused on the person, to what he
mm,
needs.
Yeah. And also, I've been very lucky in that throughout my career, I've benefited from having coaches to help me realize my own potential. And now I see the benefit of coaching on a much wider scale. And so, this opportunity with ICF to think about how we integrate AI and digital technology into the space of coaching so that we elevate people, that we keep the human aspect of coaching front and center.
You bring ICF in the discussion. How do you see the role of ICF in shaping the future of coaching and in this AI-driven world?
Well, I think ICF has always been a very innovative organization and is people centered. So we are a human based organization and we believe in coaching to help humans realize their potential. That's everything that coaching does and represents in the world. And we therefore benefit humanity because the more that we have better people, the more that we have a better world. And therefore, my role within ICF is to help us continue to innovate. So as these new emerging technologies come to this space, how do we use that in a way that doesn't undermine everything we've done for the last 30 years and
Mhm.
continues to support and elevate humans? And how do we ensure that the AI is there to serve us and create opportunities to augment what we do and elevate that coaching and client relationship?
Yeah, thank you. That's a huge mission. It's very inspiring. And
Well, I
I think,
think
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think, with coaching, we have the opportunity. If you think about AI, AI is here, it's not going away. It's going to help us as humans do more. I mean, AI is great at solving problems faster than we could. It's great at automating repetitive tasks that we don't particularly want to do. And it helps us uncover insights that we would not necessarily have previously found. So, with all of these new insights, we can imagine different ways of serving our clients. And I think that's the thing. It's a bit like having a Fitbit, but for coaching rather than a Fitbit for your own personal performance at the gym. It's thinking about a Fitbit to help you help your clients be the best they can be.
And in this context, which ethical consideration should me as a coach consider when I decide to use AI tools to help me in my coaching
Yeah,
practice?
yes, ethical. I mean, ICF has great resources. So if people aren't familiar with, on our website, we have an area for coaching and technology assets and reference material. That's a great resource. And we also have the research portal there, which is a great resource of material that's been published in the space of AI and coaching. So I'd encourage people to go there and find them. But within that, you will find that we have a code of ethics and we have our AI standards and framework. And those two documents or those two assets are really pivotal in helping coaches orientate themselves to this new opportunity. And the ethical question that you raise around what should you be doing as a coach to protect your clients, really, it is about transparency. So if you are going to be using AI anywhere in your practice, then we should be disclosing that to clients so that clients have the opportunity to say whether they're comfortable or not with that. And obviously, if they're not, we wouldn't use them because it's about being human-centered in the context of serving our clients. And when we're using these technologies, it's being very mindful about the service agreement that you sign with the technology that you're using. If you're using one of the generic AI tools like OpenAI or Gemini AI, etc., if you're using free versions, then we wouldn't recommend that because your data is going to be used to train those models. So if you are going to use those generic large language models, then the paid versions would be better. But also there are new tools and platforms that are being developed in the coaching space. And these have a different application because they are built on the credentials, the standards that has grown through coaching and is grounded in psychology. So there is a difference between those different models.
And on the other hand, I know a lot of coaches still hesitant to use AI in their businesses or in their practice, maybe in their also personal life. What would be your advice here for those who still not sure, should I not?
Mhm. Well, we are running an AI series called the ICF AI Catalyst series, which is a series of webinars to help people create awareness and comfort around AI to get experiential and practical with the use of AI. I would encourage people to play with it. So in a non-risk environment, interact with AI on your own terms and really from a point where you have subject matter expertise, so you can test how you feel the responses are against what you know to be your expert area or domain. And I think just playing with it is really important because it's not going to go away. It's something that we need to understand and find ways to integrate it into our lives and perhaps into our professional practice as well.
Hey, it's a very good suggestion. It actually goes with the coaching competences. Be curious about it. Be open, curious, and just try approach it as student mindset. Yeah.
I think, yeah, and actually, mindset you mentioned there, I think with AI, it invites people and leadership to have a growth mindset and to be comfortable with experimentation and iteration because that's the best way to get a kind of partnership with AI that fits you as a human and your practice.
It's again partially for knowing yourself, what maybe some task you would like to delegate, which task you prefer to do. That is true.
Actually, that's an interesting point you mentioned there with delegation, because I listened to a podcast from Nick Tulvey, who is a product manager in OpenAI, and he mentioned that not every human or every person is used to delegating. And so now we're going to have to find that skill so that we feel comfortable delegating to AI and think of it like an intern, if you like.
I'm also saying that from my experience, how I'm using AI, it's mostly for exactly repetitive or routine tasks that I would prefer to delegate.
Mhm.
Mm. And I'm curious about your opinion on how AI can enhance empathy or emotional intelligence in leadership and in leaders. What's your perspective on it?
Well, I think this is an area that AI probably does struggle, and that's why it's important that we have humans, what we say, human in the loop. But I think it's just that our people should be the ones that are making the decisions, deciding how we use the responses from AI rather than allow AI to operate independently. AI doesn't necessarily have all of the traits or conditions that allows it to understand human empathy, human presence. These are all areas where it would struggle because it is about a lived experience.
Is there a way that we could use AI to enhance our own emotional intelligence or our own empathy?
So I think
It's
we could use AI to help. So, for instance, you could be sharing with it how you've communicated in a certain situation, and it may help you understand your repetitive behavior. Perhaps there's something about your communication style that isn't getting the results that you would like or the responses that you would like. And it may help you in practicing role play, if you like. Those types of things are helpful.
it's interesting topic you brought up, and I also have this question. There is a lot of discussions if AI would, eliminate coaches. Or can we use OpenAI as a coach? What is your perspective on this? Can I use ChatGPT instead of having my own coach?
Well, we know that people do. So there is a Harvard Business Review that was published this year, and in fact, they published it last year as well. So there is a yearly kind of comparison about how people are using OpenAI or ChatGPT. And the trend from last year, the number one use case was around coding, the technical aspects of using AI. But this year, it's around therapy and personal support. Now, that's an area of concern for us, and I think the ethical debates would come in at this point. Um, but in that space, I think what we should be doing is helping people understand what's a safe way to interact with AI, and what are the kind of traits or patterns that AI may be showing in those spaces that you could use your critical thinking to think, well, hang on a minute, that's not going to be useful for me as a person. I take this from it, but not these areas.
Yeah, not maybe take everything for granted and really enhance your own thinking. It's a good point.
In the same way that if you did have a group of interns or junior people within your a team, you wouldn't necessarily take everything verbatim. You would, there are some tasks that would not be appropriate in that space.
Yeah, yeah, you put it anyway through your own filter in the sense.
Correct. Yeah, critical thinking,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. One of the goal of the Future of Work Summit and ICF Switzerland vision as well is to unite businesses, education, coaching organizations, even, different standards of coaching, to bring them all to the same table. I'm curious about your opinion. What makes this collaboration so important right now?
Mm. I think that it's really important to focus on the people. And whenever throughout my career, I've been involved in digital transformation, and very often an organization will deploy technology without thinking of the unintended consequences or the implications on people. So I think it's very helpful when we're thinking about the future of work, that we do that in a way where we're listening to a diversity of voices, and that we're collaborating effectively across those cross disciplines, so that we really think about how do we help people through this transition, and how do we set them up for success? So, what are the conditions that allow people to really thrive and flourish? And how might technology serve that? So, as more and more digital technology comes into our ways of working, our operating models, if we're thinking about organizations, whether that's businesses or educational establishments, each of them will have new opportunities that are presented from the use of AI and the data and insights that services for those organizations. But we still need people. If you think about it, business is people doing business with people, not with organizations or bricks and mortar. It's the human contact that makes an organization work.
How do you see the role of educational institutions in bringing AI in the coaching world and ethical use of AI in the coaching?
I think I already start to see the trends of coaching becoming part of the necessity, if you like, within the educational space. And there are educational establishments that have coaching and technology, both credentials as well as practices within those educational establishments. I think that's an encouraging sign because there is going to be transformation, or there is transformation happening within educational institutions around how students want to learn, how the future of work is transforming what employers are expecting of students. And that's transforming the curriculum for educational establishments. It's transforming the way that those curriculum are delivered. So micro-credentialing is a theme that, or an emerging trend. Um, and people's expectations of stacked, being able to study and earn certification as they go with their career or with other things that they may be doing in their life. And for all of these reasons, I think coaching is really important. Coaching is the one discipline or profession, if you like, where we are helping people navigate through change. And in the times of uncertainty, coaching is the thing that helps an individual be centered and figure out, what is it that they want to be? What are their goals? And how might the coach help them navigate that together?
Thank you for sharing that, your perspective. And I ask it because the Future of Work Summit, we are partnering with IMD. It's a business school, it's an educational institution. For the first time, we are doing something of this scale in Switzerland, and especially with partnering with such a huge institution. And during the summit, the topic of AI in coaching would be featured in a panel discussion and a keynote lecture. From your perspective, what participants could expect from this? Or maybe you as a participant and also the panelist, what do you expect from that?
Well, I think gathering people together is great because in the room you have an energy, and the exchange of ideas often sparks something new for you, whether it's an inspirational thing or whether you suddenly kind of realize a nugget of information, a moment of clarity, if you like, by being in the room. So I'm excited for that because that's always great. I'm excited to be on the panel, one of the discussions, or I think two panels there. And the reason I'm
Mhm.
excited for that is to work with other experts who have different points of view or different fields of expertise. But it's that exchange of ideas and the innovation or the collaboration that could come from that that really excites me. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and that is both for you as a participant of the conference and for you as a panelist during the discussion. The spark of
Definitely.
ideas, collaboration. Yeah.
And that's the human genius, isn't it? I think
Mhm.
that's what we're also trying to preserve within coaching. It's that moment of human interaction that really makes the difference, and that happens when we all get together in conferences as well. So yeah, it's great energy.
In your perspective, what makes this conference and this discussion now so timely?
Yeah, if you think about it, we've businesses, organizations have been going through transformation for the last 40 years, all the way through the Industrial Revolution. We've had major changes. And if you think about technology, my career has been on, in parallel to the technological changes that we've seen over the last 40 years. And they've been significant, when we think about computers, when we think about the internet, then mobile, and then social. And now, well, AI has been a theme all the way through that, but generative AI was a significant shift, if you like, a technological shift. And I think when I think about all of those, I think that is an opportunity for us to reinvent what it means to be human. And how do we work with these changes when the pace of change is significantly faster, and the scale of change. I think also when you look at the World Economic Forum's predictions on the future of work by 2030 and how different the workplace is and what transformation we're going to go through, upskilling, some jobs not necessarily coming into the future, new jobs emerging that we in sectors that we don't yet understand, but are likely to be around things like AI. So cybersecurity, those types of
Mhm.
roles, ethical roles are likely to be an increase in the future. So it's thinking about all of that, plus the fact that through COVID, everybody had to learn to work remotely. So we've got this kind of nomadic and digital workforce, and what might that present for us in the future? how tied are we to bricks and mortar buildings? How necessary is that when we have hybrid and remote working? And what roles
Mhm.
need to be physically present in a building, and what roles can operate from anywhere? In my last role with Airbnb, we were exploring that. It's like people could live and work anywhere. And when you can do that, how does that change the way you think about your organization? I was just also thinking, like, if you imagine that, then you have the practical aspects of people being mobile with their employment, if you like, and then you've got the practical things about um, how do you ensure you help them perform at their best? What does high performance look like
Mhm.
in those spaces? What does management become and leadership become? And I think there is a change in what is expected of leaders in the future. A growth mindset we talked about earlier on, being very clear on purpose and not necessarily on the details of how something gets done. You know, delegating to your staff to ensure that. And the implications of tax. You know, people paying their insurance tax or work tax, those types of things, and money itself. You know, there is a conversation around universal income, which I know Europe is leading in terms of the thoughts around that.
Yeah, you touched slightly on the topic that I want to bring next. In your opinion, what impact maybe you would expect to come from this cross-section dialogue between coaches, businesses, educational institution?
I'm interested in the collaboration of those specific domains or expertise offers us the chance to look at the stages of human development and how might, with this new emerging technology and these new ways of collaborating, how might we help more people elevate those stages of human development such that we might have more uh, significant breakthroughs for humanity? Might we be able to solve some of the world's biggest problems because we've equipped people to really realize their potential and flourish in ways that we might see, different breakthroughs in medicine, in government, in education, etc.
Yeah, I'm curious. Would you bring some of those topics during your panel discussion? I'm very curious to learn
Yes,
them.
we'll see. Well, yeah. Well, I'm
I
really
look,
interested in those areas and those spaces, so we'll see how it unfolds.
yeah, I very much look forward to summit and also to talking to you there. If there would be one message you would share with those coaches, or maybe even larger with the businesses or educational institutions who are hesitant to use AI, what that message be?
I do think experimentation and doing that in ways where it's no risk. I think there are opportunities for you to create scenarios and test and play with AI and just see what results you get from it and learn from that and find ways to scale the things that work well. And how might you do that with guardrails? Actually, guardrails is something that should really come up in our ethical conversation. When I was working at Airbnb, we spent a lot of time on the legal and compliance aspects and building guardrails that enabled us to think about what guardrails do we need from a technical point of view, what
Mhm.
guardrails do we need from a legal and compliance point of view, and then what guardrails might we need from a business point of view. So within the coaching space, what are the acceptable responses that you would expect to get from your AI in this space? So it's important to spend time in designing the systems or the solutions
Mhm.
in ways that have the appropriate guardrails. These are topics I think that we could explore. Um, and I think it is about being hopeful. I believe in the power of human ingenuity, if you like, to solve big problems. If you look at history, humans have solved some very difficult problems. And whilst we have fear around AI, I'm confident that we will lean in and solve for those fears in ways that we can harness and unlock the potential to benefit humanity and our world, the planet that we live in.
With this, you're touching the points that I would discuss next. How do you see the development of coaching and AI in coaching in the next 10 years? I would just strive in
10 years
coaching
is a long
community.
time. I think there is an opportunity for, as I've said already, the coaching as a profession, I think, is uniquely placed to help humanity navigate these changes. And there are many changes that are going on, not just these um, technical changes that we experience. We've got political, economical, social, and technology changes. And therefore, coaches are best placed to help people navigate. And if I think about that, then I think about human presence because I think if we have to differentiate between what a human coach is uniquely placed to do and what AI and AI coaches may do, because there are opportunities for AI coaches to exist, and we've seen research of them and we've seen examples of them. So they exist, but they are different to what a human coach is. So our focus is, well, what makes that human coach different? And it is around the emotional intelligence, the lived experience, the presence, the physicality in the relationship, and trust and nuanced understanding. Because having had a so for all of those reasons, I wonder if we that will be amplified more as we go into the next 5, 10 years, that collective consciousness or consciousness is a thing that is human. And I wonder if the future of coaching is around flourishing as humans within that consciousness, whether that's individual, organizational, or in a collective way. Maybe it's a movement where you have a shared purpose.
It resonates with what you said about the conference itself, or to have the human connections, to have a spark of the ideas that comes out of this connection. Yeah, that's
And
this.
actually, that's interesting when you think about uh, during COVID, we were all starved of that human connection. It was very
Mhm.
hard for us to feel in a space where we had well-being, and you see the trends now towards well-being, probably as a consequence of the experiences that we had during COVID. So I think now that we are back and able to have that physical interaction, it's incredibly valuable. And how might we make more of those opportunities to connect, to gather, and to really, um, collaborate in ways where we as humans can do some amazing things.
Bring those connections from Zoom to in person. And
Mhm.
I found these personal connections very, very valuable and nourishing.
And this is great too. I mean, meeting you on Zoom and this conversation is great, but I know it would be elevated if we were and we will be in person soon. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to that.
Yes, I also look forward to this. And thank you, Susan, for this conversation. It was very inspiring for me as a young coach to listen to you, to your perspective, and to your vision for ICF and for coaches in general. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I look forward to meeting more of you in Switzerland. Awesome.